Hello, this is Ellen Madono. I'm speaking to you from Tokyo Homeopathy. I've just finished editing a video that I made with a young, very bright Indian woman who's done a lot of work on her own health and the health of her own family using homeopathy. She is asking about what I'm teaching, but also she's talking about her own experience with homeopathy based on what she's seeing around her in India. This itself is very interesting. Um, and she's also questioning why you would use modern research as opposed to the traditional research that she has based all of her very good cures and her very good use of homeopathy. I'm full of admiration for her and would like to convince her that modern research has something to help her in finding a curative remedy, in finding actually deeper cures than what she's accomplishing currently. The topics that our conversation covered in a sort of a winding way, because I didn't plan the conversation. I let her talk about what interested her and kind of spoke to what she brought up. So the topics that we covered uh, included research into infectious disease. She watched a video that I had made about the protocols of Jeremy Sherr uh, to help prevent uh, COVID from becoming a serious infection. And she wanted to, I asked her to talk more about what she thought about uh, when she watched these videos. She had some really good observations, and they're very much related to the kind of research that is being done today in homeopathic medicine. But this research is quite advanced. Um, what she noticed was the use of remedies made from infectious diseases. And so we talked about how these, what they're called nosodes, how these remedies made from infectious disease tissues are different from traditional remedies. Actually, traditionally, such tissues have been used, and they were used by the founder of homeopathy, Hahnemann. But the ways that they're used have been further developed past Hahnemann. And so I tried to give her kind of a broad framework of how changes are taking place in modern homeopathy. And finally, we got to the issue of software, because what I'm teaching is how to use a software. And I explained to her how the software works. I don't think my explanation was at all sufficient, but at least she could see what the mechanics of the software that I used were. It wasn't really much of much interest to her, of course, because she herself is a computer consultant and very good at these kinds of things. Preeti describes how she's preventing COVID from taking hold before it happens.
So it should help, fight against the cold, as like increase my immunity at the time when it's needed, something like that.
Yeah, I think that your method is requires a lot of
Oh,
intelligence,
okay.
which is not good for the masses.
Yes, correct.
It's not good for everybody, and it's not good for someone who's very busy and can't
Right.
take in all
Yes.
this
Right.
detail.
Yes.
And also, it has no method. It's a you happen to read this from this person, and you happen to read that, and and it it works, and I guess it works. I guess I like to have a method,
Okay.
and the best prevention for COVID is actually the best remedy for you right now, the overall remedy. And you don't have a method for uh, the holistic remedy, the remedy for your entire case.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So actually, what I'm trying to do is to put online uh, classes on how to find the general remedy for uh, not just for COVID, but just in general. So
Yes.
if you have a specific problem, it's still taking into consideration things like your body temperature or your uh, basic kinds of modalities, they're called.
Right. Right.
So the method that I'm using is to focus on modalities. It's using the Bowenhausen repertory.
Okay. Okay.
And so then you have a basic guideline. If you're putting together a jigsaw puzzle, and what's the best strategy for that? If you're doing a jigsaw puzzle,
No.
never
No
done such a
idea.
thing. Okay, you make the frame first. You take all the
Right.
straight
Okay.
pieces and you put all those together, and then you put the ones in the middle together. So
Right.
these
Right.
modalities are like the straight pieces in a
Okay.
puzzle.
Okay.
Okay, so um, what I'm trying to teach is how to do that basic work so you get a
Right.
remedy that is going to deeply affect the person, not just
Right.
affect some passing problem such as food poisoning or a passing cold. Though,
Right.
um,
Right.
and if you're dealing, for example, you're dealing with aging parents, or you're dealing with COVID, or you're dealing with something that requires deep remedies,
Right.
this way of finding out what everybody says about this and that problem isn't lifting the entire health, as well
Right.
as something that would be first use the frame of the puzzle and then put the insides of the puzzle together
Right.
afterward.
Yes, yes, I've read about it actually, and that actually pisses me off that it's such a good medicine. It really works, and all they're doing is, okay, the FDA is trying to just shut it off. I mean, I have some cousins who are in the US, even for getting arsenic and all, they are having such a tough time just even to get the remedy itself. I mean, they know it works, they know it works for something, they don't have it. When they come down here, they take the remedies with them, a few which the commonly used remedies, they take it from here because they say it's not there. I know it's going to work, but I don't have it. I don't. And plus it's a lot of restrictions. Yes. Yes.
Going to work, but I don't have it. I don't. And
But
plus,
it's
it's a
not
lot of
commonly
restrictions.
taught even in India how
Yes.
to how to make the frame and
Yes.
find the remedy that will lift the entire health.
Yes.
So your
Right.
cousins
Right.
are
And
doing very piecework like you. They're very intelligent people. They read all kinds of things and they
yes.
find the information that they want, but it's not systematic. They don't
Yes.
have a systematic approach. And
Yes.
it isn't that difficult, but it's just not taught. It's taught only to people who want to become homeopaths.
Yes.
And
That's
I
where
think
we
that
are lacking.
what needs to happen is the general population knows how to make the framework and knows how to select the remedy. And then they let the professionals do the difficult things. They just keep
Yes.
up their own health, small problems. And most of the time, they don't have to go to a professional.
Yes.
But then, if you had people like that, there wouldn't be so much misunderstanding. You know, like, my remedy didn't work, it must not work. It's because you don't understand how homeopathy works that you say that kind of thing.
Yeah. And what happens?
Yeah, and what happens is, since they've been going to allopaths for so many years, they think that, okay, it's a call, okay, tell me what medicine. It's not like, okay, I have fever, should I take crocin? No, it's not like that in homeopathy. In homeopathy, you'll have to take his symptoms, you'll have to take the case, and then you'll find the remedy. So maybe for one person, he has, say, gastric symptom, maybe baptisia might work for him, or a child, maybe belladonna will work, not baptisia. But this thing, it's not very difficult to understand for them, so they just take something. And over the counter, there are so many, I don't like the over the counter medication. Actually, I wanted to ask you, like, they mix up, different potencies, like a 6x and a 3x and a 4. How is that supposed to work? I think that when we are mixing two medicines together, they should be of the same potency. If it's a 200, okay, aconite 200 and bryonia 200, then it should be 200. Shouldn't be like bryonia is 3x, aconite is 200. Won't it affect? I mean, it will not work somehow. Yes, that's what. But it shouldn't be mixed of a different potency. I mean, I don't know why they are using that.
I
It will
don't
not
really
work.
know what happens, but I think it's better than mixing different remedies.
Yes, that's what.
I
But it
mean,
shouldn't be mixed of a different potency. I mean, I don't know why they are
well,
using.
potency is a very kind of, I don't know if you've studied the science of how remedies are made. I've tried to put up some stuff on my site, but it's not well understood. Why a remedy becomes a remedy. Um, you know, what I have on my site is some material scientists who are finding that the nanoparticles gather on the glass cylinder, and they gather
Yes.
at the top where the bubbles float up. If you succuss
Yeah.
the remedy,
Success it.
you're going to get bubbles at the top. And those nanoparticles are all around the bubbles. And most recently, George Vithoulkas, who is the grandfather of homeopathy, modern
Yes.
homeopathy, he's saying yes, but that still does not describe what we homeopaths think about as the vital force. And so he has another idea about this, but we don't really know what makes these potencies work and how different they are. I do a lot of playing around with potency, making potencies, changing them. You'll see all kinds of stuff on my site about that. But um, this is not like experimental data.
Yes. Yes.
But definitely mixing up different kinds of remedies is really going into I'm not sure what you're doing. I even try not to take the same two different remedies at the same time. Like if a patient needs to have two remedies at the same time, I have them take one in the morning, one at night, one today, another one tomorrow, and alternate them or something. Try to separate them
Right.
because I want the body to have clear instructions as to what we're trying to do to cooperate with the body.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm just very careful about that. I don't want to get, I'm easily confused. I don't want to confuse my energy system any more than it is. Um, anyway, did you understand about what Jeremy Sherr was saying about how he selects a genius epidemicus?
Yes, a little bit. What I understood, like, this is an acute disease, so we need not focus on the chronic miasm of each person. What he's trying to do is collect the symptoms, and then on based on the common symptoms that, like, everyone had, say, loss of smell and taste, so that is a common symptom. So based on common symptoms together, like 50 people had that, and on that basis they are collecting the data, and then they're trying to find the genus Remedicus based on the common symptoms that these people, and then individually maybe someone had a different unique symptom for which then they selected a remedy later on, because it was only unique for that person. But other than that, they're trying to gather the common symptoms of the acute disease that we are handling today. And
This is you've edged up on a very difficult subject of what
yes,
he's talking about,
yes,
because on the one hand there's the collecting of the common symptoms, which is what we do in homeopathy all the time.
Right.
yes,
On the other hand, he's looking for very strange symptoms that speak to a common theme in the remedy. In all these symptoms are like cold, warm, the feet are hot, the feet are cold. You know, they're so random. You could never, it'd be hard to memorize them. But there are certain themes that come out in talking to people. And when he finds these themes are being that several people, or one, even just one person, is strongly expressing the theme of COVID, then he wants to use the remedies that are in that symptom. He gives it a special point. So the two analytical methods are separate. One is the collecting of the common symptoms, and the other one is the looking for themes in the disease.
yeah,
Yes.
And this is something that is, I'm now studying miasms and nosodes, a bunch of lectures uh, by Dr. Lou Klein. And he's always looking at the broader issues in looking for remedies, or what is a remedy about. And it gets broader and broader. When you have the classical remedies that are in the Bowenhausen repertory, most of those are well proven and clinically used, and so we know about them in great amount of detail. And their symptoms are fairly clear relative to other remedies, or remedies that are now coming out with all kinds of proving work that's being done in
yeah,
homeopathy. And particularly in understanding bacteria and viruses. Then you're getting into nosodes. And nosodes are kind of a higher level of generalization in terms of themes.
right,
Nosodes are also connected to miasm, and miasm is it's like some kind of an abstraction of the kinds of symptoms that we have that go together. So a cholera miasm, a tuberculosis miasm, a you gave your son
right,
tuberculosis, you would actually want to check to see which of the tuberculosis miasms he might fit into, for example, because there's a number of them, and which ones are related. It becomes a very complicated structure, but it's this bigger structure that Jeremy Sherr is speaking to, and Lou Klein are speaking to, and modern homeopaths in Europe at least,
no, no, no,
and the United States is way behind. Canada are looking at. Um, but I think that you just have to be clear about that. Because what I learned in school was simply you collect the symptoms of the local area where the epidemic is concerned
Right.
is, and there's nothing about themes. There's nothing about
no,
the
it's impossible.
mental
It's a vast
aspects of the
ocean. I mean,
remedy.
from what I've understood,
But
it's
if you
it's like the
begin
CM
focusing
potency.
on
It
that,
is
and
like a
people
drop
like
in the
Manjulavari, Lou Klein, all kinds of people in Europe are really looking at what the mental state is. Then you're able to use the physical and the mental together,
Yes.
and you get something that's you actually get a system of remedies that are related by theme, not just by these peculiar symptoms all over the place. To me, I'm not as smart as you, so I never read Clark from beginning to end. My goodness. I could never do something like that. But I I had a very hard time with all these individual symptoms. And I thought, oh, I've got to remember all this. I can't do that. Of course, I had a repertory, so it wasn't a problem. But, you feel in your heart that there must be something wrong with me. Other people must be memorizing this, because I certainly am not able to.
No, it's impossible. It's a vast ocean. I mean,
Yes,
from what
yes,
I've
yes.
understood, it's like the CM potency. It is like a drop in the ocean.
If you look at some pictures that Jeremy Sherr made, the provings of remedies are made by collecting symptoms from individual people. Okay?
Yes.
And the genus epidemic is also made by collecting symptoms from individual cases. And this is an aphorism that's in aphorism 100, and I think it's 101, that Hahnemann talks about collecting these themes. But the idea of collecting big themes was not something that Hahnemann developed by himself during his period. The furthest he got was to miasms, and he didn't use miasms. Nosodes specifically. So he wasn't, even though he was talking about miasms. Bowenhausen put together all the different remedies that go in this and that a miasm, or that represent it more strongly. He categorized and things like that. But it's the development of miasms is a later development in a practical sense. You have Herring, who was a student of Hahnemann and younger than Bowenhausen, and he actually did the provings on Sorinum, and did the proving on Lachesis, this big snake. So he was beginning to figure out what we could do outside of what Hahnemann had started. Hahnemann started us in a direction, and then people after that are developing that. And in general, in India, with the exception of people like Sankarayan or a few people, this is not what is taught in the Indian schools, I don't think. So if you...
Yeah, actually, in India, it's totally different. What I have understood is they want to become like the people want to be doctors. They want to be allopaths. But because the population is so large and the seats are very less compared to the medical seats, so what they do is, if they don't get into allopathy, they get into homeopathy just for the sake of the degree, and then they practice allopathy, and that's a problem. I mean, I find it frustrating. I mean, you've done something golden and you're going back to what doesn't work. I mean, that's not good. That's what I feel. Yes, and then even if I go to YouTube and I see the Indian homeopaths, like the lectures and all, they're trying to, they're just giving us medicines which are already there, in the combination, like we talk about the ready-made combination. If you're asking us to take a ready-made combination, then that I can, as it is, do. I'll just go search online and check, okay, what are the medicines for cough, and okay, I find some 4-5 combination, I'll just take them. Why am I coming to you? If you're recommending a combination, that means you have not studied homeopathy. That's my blunt opinion. You need to take a proper case and suggest a medicine, because combination, even I can go to the and take it over here. To there's no issue buying medicines without prescriptions. We get everything. So I'll just go to over the counter. I'll tell him, okay, give me from Wilmer Schwab, whatever cough syrup is there. Give it. I'll take it for a few days. I'll get well. Oh, okay. Yes, and another thing very important, Ellen, is they need to have some interest in studying the subject. It may be anything, it's not just homeopathy. Whatever I'm trying to say, I want, like, my aim was like achieve good health and I mean maintain good health. So I got into, first I went into health supplements, then I even tried essential oils, then I moved to homeopathy. So it is a personal interest level also. If you're into whatever subject it may be, unless you take interest yourself, it's not going to happen. I mean, just because, I mean, I tell a lot of my friends, hey, you study homeopathy, you use it for your children, use small things, just for acute things, try using it, see how it works. They're not very eager to listen, they don't believe in it, they're like, okay, it doesn't work. True. We need to be serious at the individual level. We need to be serious that, okay, I want to take charge of my health and I'm going to do whatever it takes, but I don't want any side effects, so that's why I'm into this. So that understanding, valuing what you have gotten. They don't value it. If you just tell someone, hey, okay, take this medicine, he won't value it. I know, like, I have studied 10 hours to just find that medicine, so I know the value of that. So even they don't value it. If you just tell them, okay, just try this. Yes, no, I'm just saying, like, maybe, I've been through a lot of books or something, and I know at the back, oh yeah, I read that remedy somewhere, and I tell him, okay, but I studied for it, so I can understand his value. If tomorrow I have the same symptom, maybe I'll try that remedy out. Okay, let me try this out. Let's see, something like that. Yes, if you learn how to use the repertory, or if you teach them how to use it, but they also should be equally interested. That is the thing. So not many people, first, the minute you say homeopathy, they're like, oh, that doesn't work, or that, lot of misconceptions, that it takes a long time. Because another thing, when I was like maybe 5 6 years before, I'd been to homeopaths and for some problems, and they took a really long time. Maybe they were giving a very low potency, I don't know, because they want the client to come every month, they want their income. So over here, at least, they'll not directly give you something which will work. Actually, it should be that way, that, and so then what they get, on the first hand they tell you that, okay, it's going to take a long time for this, so be patient and you'll have to come every week and all. Then finally the patient only gives up. Okay, how many days am I supposed to take this remedy? It's not working. Maybe if it's just a skin problem or something, like, how long am I supposed to take it? So it goes on for years, and some of them like take very high fees and they do nothing. So then what happens is, because of these people, you lose your faith in that medical system. When the homeopathy itself, I know now, today I know it's perfect, but the people who are practicing it, they are the problem. Rather than the medicine itself. Because if, say, I went to a homeopath and I got a really severe aggravation, I know my father has asthma. So one time he had been to a very famous homeopath in my city, and he gave him a steroid in the homeopathic medicine, and he got a very bad attack. Now after that, I don't think he would go to homeopath again, because then the mistake is of the homeopath, not of homeopathy. Because it, I mean, he gave, why did he give a steroid? There's one more thing. Like, I had studied the Bowel Nosodes. That is also very nice. I mean, by Elizabeth Patterson. Bowel Nosodes by Elizabeth Patterson. She did a very nice research on those. Yes, yes, yes. So like, last year, like, I had a problem. Like, I had a pain in my right hypochondrium area. Like, if I would stand more than 15 minutes, it would start paining, and I couldn't stand for more than 10 or 15 minutes at one place. If you're cooking or something, you take around 30 40 minutes you're standing, or if you're outside, you cannot sit all the time. So every 20 minutes it would start paining. I used to sit down, it would stop. And whether it's muscular or not, so we did all the tests. Maybe it's something muscular or some sprain or something. And I tried, at that time I tried this ranunculus bulbosa or something like that, for pain in the hypochondrium. So I tried that, and one other, I think aloes or something. I tried those remedies, for a week or so. It didn't work. the minute 20 minutes were passed, it would start paining. I couldn't stand, and then if I had to go out, it was a big problem for me. Like, I had to go to pick my child up from school, and I was standing at the time. It was becoming unbearable. So that time I checked the Bowel nosodes. In that I found this Morgan Gartner, that nosode I took, and the day I took it, it stopped. She had written like you have to take it for 3 days after your bowel is emptied. So I took it the doses, one day each. But on the first day when I took it, it stopped, and I was really really happy. It's a relief. Woman, yeah, yeah. Yes, yes, yes. So it really helped, and even like when we do a course of antibiotic, they say you should take that. I take a Morgan batch. Like if worst case scenario that I had to take an antibiotic, I had taken it. Like, but when I take the Morgan batch, if you take like a 10 one dose, and it uh, it creates the bacteria again. Your bowel flora is again repopulated. Otherwise, previously we used to take something, those prebiotics, for a really long time after antibiotics to restore the gut bacteria, but in this case it works very nicely. And even yeah, initially I used to take, but now I've not taken antibiotics for last 2 years. So but if somebody has to take it, say some, so I ask them, okay, you take a dose of Morgan batch, and it really helps. Even in my case, like when I had a food poisoning after that, I was getting a lot of flatulence, a lot of the food was literally coming up to my throat every time. I couldn't eat after that. I was cured with homeopathy. I took the croton take and all that. Okay, okay,
saying that one he's collecting cases, kept collecting um,
Right.
symptoms to
right,
find out how to characterize this. But nosodes are bigger.
Okay. Yes,
Nosodes,
yes. I understand it's more deep acting and it's not something you take 4 times a day. No, you take a single
right.
dose and
Okay. Yes, yes. I understand it's more deep acting, and it's not something you take 4 times a day. No, you take a single dose and you wait for it to act, maybe even like yes, 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 I understand. But only for that symptom I took it, because I was in so much pain I couldn't bear it. But it worked. I mean, point being that they work on a deeper level. Like, whereas the regular remedies that were chosen, like what I had read in the nosodes about nosode, that it's more deep acting. If the regular remedies that you choose don't work, then you take a nosode and then you take that remedy, it will work. Like even for, say, for colds, if you take a dose of tuberculinum and then you take the remedies, our regular remedies along with it, it acts, or it helps to close the case quickly, kind of.
you usually give the
Right,
remedies, these kinds of remedies, and then you look at nosodes.
yes,
If
right,
the
right. So
especially in your case, it didn't work.
right,
And
yes,
there are times when the nosode is recommended before you give these kinds of remedies.
right.
yes, right, right. So
So definitely, this is not the be all and all end all.
yes,
But you people basically have to know how to choose basic remedies.
right,
Yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
and also there's these things are organized um, on the periodic table in a meaningful way.
Okay.
So
yes, that's right.
uh, when you think of Nat Muir, you think about the Muriaticum and you think about the Natrium. You think about both. And for example, if it's a chronic case, you're asking, is
Okay,
this person having trouble with the mother? Muriaticums generally have trouble with the mother.
Okay.
Um, so there's a lot of things that have to do with placement on the periodic table. If it's a mineral, and if a plant, it's a plant, then also
okay,
uh, recently people like Yakir and Jan Schulten are placing these remedies on something that looks like a periodic table so that they're actually corresponding to the mineral remedies on the periodic table. They're also putting animals in correspondence to the periodic table. So you're getting a much more
Okay.
organized system of remedies.
Okay.
You'll find that this now even the Indians are doing it too. The Indians are explaining it, and they're so this narrow way of thinking is
Okay.
I think it's dying down.
But what do you? I mean, do you think? Yeah, I mean, as a doctor, you have like
Wait,
many
I'm not a
patients at a
doctor.
time.
I have a Ph.D. in education,
Okay.
and I wrote my
Okay.
thesis
But
using
what do you,
anthropology.
I mean, do you yeah, I mean, as
Okay.
a
I
doctor, you
studied
have like
apprenticeship.
100 patients at a
So
time.
I'm not a doctor,
Huh?
and I shouldn't be called a doctor in that
Okay.
sense. I think you're thinking
Okay.
of a
Okay.
medical doctor. I'm not,
Okay. Okay.
and I don't want to
Okay.
create any
Okay.
misconceptions.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Okay. No, the thing is like these softwares that they use, is it better? I mean, it must be saving a lot of time definitely to find a remedy. Say the patient is in front of you and you don't have time to go. And like for in my case, what happens is I'm a single person, or like for my family, like I can take out time to look into Borik or Pathak and just go spend some time to find some remedy, because I don't have 10 patients to look after, so I get more time to study in those terms. Is this software reliable, or do you feel that in the end you need to go back to the book and go back to a particular repertory and check it out, and have they corrected all the uh, essentials in the software? And I know a lot of homeopaths here also, they use the software.
Okay,
So like,
this is only for 125 remedies,
okay.
and which is
Okay.
much fewer than the number of remedies available.
Right. Right. Right.
Yes, but so I would
Okay.
recommend this for if you, to begin with. I always begin with
Okay.
this software because
Okay.
he has researched this. I mean, if once I after I began using it, I realized that he'd been researching it for. It's so well researched that I get
Right.
remedies I
Right.
never would have found, and
Okay.
that actually I really have to search hard to see how it turns out in the book, and or I have to ask the patient, "Are you actually like this? Is this your problem?" And then they tell me, "Yeah," and I didn't figure it out beforehand. Um,
Okay.
and but but for instance, I have people downloading a free Bowenhausen Bowenhausen repertory. That's
Okay.
free. I wouldn't. I
Right.
don't use it. I use a huge repertory that's full of garbage. This is a book I'm studying right now, and
Okay.
so it's all nosodes, and it's all about nosodes. Hippozyme is in here, but and I actually would go here um, only because a modern homeopath is also looking at the mental emotional symptoms
Right.
of something like hippozyme. And he's looking at um, a complex web of relationships between remedies.
Okay.
Um, and it's not that Boraki's description of hippozyme is invalid. In fact, it's quoted here. It's typically quoted. It's extremely important. It's just that I'm looking for a wider context because I think that way. I mean, I've been trained to think that way. Instead of thinking, oh, if I have this specific case, is it going to match just with that particular symptom? It's got to match a broader range of
Right.
symptoms. You were reading something that was written when for pneumonia was written.
Long time back, I think.
Yeah, and it's a
It was
different epidemic.
1800. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so um, obviously a guy like Jeremy Sherr who's looking for the genius epidemicus, because what he's not looking at those old epidemics and saying these are the
Right.
same.
Right. These are new ones. Yeah.
And also he's trying to reduce the list. because he has a lot of new homeopaths, inexperienced homeopaths, um, taking cases. So they
Right.
need to be able to handle a smaller list.
Yeah.
But now the problem is the post-COVID, and I haven't been able to follow him. He's still talking about it, I'm sure, but post-COVID is it's chronic disease,
Yes. Yes, yes, definitely.
so
And
it's
a
much
lot
more
of
complicated.
people, they have not recovered. It's just that the virus is gone, but the damage is done. So
Yeah. So,
they're just home. That's it.
but if you have uh, if you have COVID recently, you have the beginning of COVID, it's much better to have this kind of resource than
Yes.
even Jeremy Sherr, because you need to quickly take the actual symptoms of the patient,
Right.
and you need to be able to get it at a deep level using
Yes.
reliable symptoms. There are ways to branch out from these remedies, but this is 125 is plenty for the beginning of COVID. I don't know if you
Yes.
listened to the video that by Herskew. He was just talking about very normal polycrests and their use in COVID. He's a pediatrician,
Okay.
and so your more normal usage is always going to be these familiar polycrests.
Yes.
So you actually what you want to be able to do is to take the case before you have a good set of symptoms. I
Right.
never would do that in the past. I would just say, "Oh, there are not enough symptoms. I can't do it. I give up." But now I don't feel that way at all. I have very few symptoms, and I'll take the case. Uterus, problems of the uterus.
Uterus fibroid.
Yeah,
Yes.
fibroids. You
Fibroid.
have to wait for the fibroid to get big enough. I was sort of like that because I wanted some very clear symptoms. But if I'm just looking at um, modalities, I can deal with fairly minute symptoms, symptoms that are just before I would just, oh, I can't do that kind of. Homeopathy is made for better things. I don't have to have that kind of bad attitude.
Okay. Now, from me, it's my approach is like prevention is better than cure. So I'm like, trying to, okay, nip the coal in the bud, the minute I know like COVID, the symptom starts maybe from a cold or cough. So the minute something starts, I just want to, I just want it to done in 24 hours so that it shouldn't convert into a disease. My objective is it shouldn't go to, more symptoms or the minute I see some symptom, okay, I'm catching a cold. I want to stop it there itself. That's my aim. So that it doesn't convert to the full blown disease.
So
I,
that it
I, I
doesn't
know
convert to the
some young
full
people,
blown disease.
and their mothers, and they just want to quickly stop everything. That gets to be a lot of anxiety. I'm kind of like, well, sometimes you just have to let life happen. It's okay.
Yeah, in my case also, let me be like very clear, even if I end up getting COVID, I will, I mean, I'll take help of my mom because she's an allopath to help me assess the case as such, but I will be self-medicating and I won't be going to the hospital because I know what has happened with in case of my relatives. I mean, they've been built like anything, and the only thing that they don't have any treatment as such in allopathy. They're just giving them multivitamins and a lot of vitamin C and all that. That I can do it at home, and the conditions in the hospitals are really bad. I mean, now though there are hardly any beds, so I would prefer to be at home, take my multivitamins, take my homeopathy based on my symptoms, and hopefully I should be able to get. That is my approach now. Okay, the more I study or the more I learn about taking care of myself, I think that will be helpful rather than relying on the homeopath, because the homeopaths here, they are not allowed to come into hospital because they are homeopaths. They are not allowed to treat the patients unless some homeopath has his own hospital. which is very rare. Maybe in case of I think Shankarajan or someone, yeah, they have their hospital, but they're in some other city and they might be occupied. So I would yes, yes, yes. So I would prefer that. I mean, based on what I've been doing last 2 years, that like as I told you, I try to nip it in the bud, or even if it converts to symptoms, I've been able to cure it within 2 or 3 days based on the symptoms. Looking at the repertory, I've been able to clear the case, at least in my case or my family.
Yes, we are taking all the precaution. We are not going out
Yeah,
meeting
but I
people or
think
meeting
that
anyone.
that's not the
Yes,
best
but
way to do it. I think the best way to do it is to know how to take a case and how to find the right remedy.
right, right.
That's a better precaution, because
So at least
one of the best kind of precaution you can take against COVID is to be taking the remedy that's best for you at the moment.
right.
Um, and so that's what I try to do with my husband and myself. And you need to find that remedy.
Okay.
I would prefer to find it myself, actually, than go to a homeopath.
Yes.
Well,
At
you
least
know,
in
this
my case or
repertory
my
that I'm
family.
introducing you to, it's
Okay.
it he charges, first of all, it's free in the beginning,
Okay.
and then he charges something like $12 a month or something if you want to
Okay.
rent it. And if you rent it, the total cost of it is like something like $300,
Okay.
which I think is really reasonable.
Yeah.
And it's and then the other repertory, if you're going to use a mechanical repertory, I would use the Boger Boenhausen repertory.
Okay.
But I've put up some videos, and I've got videos from I'm not putting things out in public because I kind of don't know who the public is.
Yes.
I would rather be communicating with people that I know.
Yes, I agree with you on that one, because like if you just give it for free,
No,
least
I'll put it
interested.
out for free later when
Right. But
but not in the beginning. I mean, I
right.
hardly know what I'm
Right.
doing. I can hardly handle all this video stuff, and everything is unknown to me. So um, I will send you uh, uh, URL and descriptions of the various videos. I don't think many of them are not. I think you're so quick you don't need them. But I would be very happy to go over cases. You say you have a case using the polarity analysis. I would be happy to go over that and discuss the
Okay.
rubrics and how you do that. I have there's several videos that you really should watch, because they'll go
Okay.
over the concepts and go over how you set up a case, how you analyze it and set up the case, and you need that. So I'll tell you which ones those are. The other ones that I have up, and then I have a bunch of. I'm now editing a video where I'm working with a beginning student. She has never studied homeopathy before. Her relative's case. I made a mistake on the video, but you can see how I made a mistake, and you can see uh, exactly what we're doing, mechanically what we're doing. We're talking about the reasoning of each one, and it's the reasoning process that you want to know about. Hi, I just finished editing this video, and actually I had a very hard time, and there's many mistakes. But I believe in practicing what I believe, which is you learn by doing. You learn homeopathy by doing it, and you learn how to run video recording equipment by doing it. So I had a really great time talking to Preeti, and we talked about Jeremy Sherr's research into infectious diseases and many other people who are in the same line of thinking with Jeremy, such as Lou Klein and Manjulavari or Jan Schulten. And I feel that this kind of advanced research, even if you're really a beginner, it's better to know what the field looks like. And you can be a very small part of it. It's fine. You don't have to think that you're going to develop all this. If you don't need it, you don't need it, and you should use homeopathy the way you need it. My intention is to teach it the way you need it. So I'm going to arrange individual tutoring with individuals with different needs. We introduced and talked about many different kinds of remedies and infectious diseases. And if you're a beginner, this is all new to you. I hope I put up enough notes to make things understandable. And in Preeti's case, it was kind of hard to understand why she should bother with learning using software when she actually is quite successful in what she's doing. So we really had to talk about what modern research is doing and why it's useful to use modern research. Somebody who has done statistical analysis and gotten together a really reliable repertory and found a method that makes finding a remedy much easier for the professional homeopath, for a brilliant beginner like Preeti, and for the very ordinary beginner. All of us can benefit. I certainly have benefited greatly from polarity analysis. But I hope you enjoyed seeing homeopathy through Preeti's eyes. Very exciting kind of person. And a person like her probably could read Heiner Frei's book on polarity analysis and learn a great deal. But I wouldn't suggest that a person who's just beginning homeopathy go out and buy this book. This isn't the first book you're going to buy if you have never bought any other homeopathy books. It's a very good book and a very good introduction. I hope that this video has also been useful to you if you're a beginner. If you can, press on the subscribe button. Do anything you can to make those bots recognize us, because I would really like other students to find this and to discover how they can help others. Also, people who are able to teach homeopathy, I think that polarity analysis is a wonderful way to spread the word about the power of homeopathy. So this is Ellen Madono, and I've been talking to you through Tokyo Homeopathy, and I hope you'll join me for more videos about polarity analysis.